they saying?
I give thanks to life, man. Only if I go on in the studio, you know?
Serious thing. We are here again, Baldhead and the Dread podcast, giving thanks for everyone tuning in from those times till now. Fire, what reason about today?
Yeah, well, today we're reason about the school system, like the death of the school system, so to speak, because
serious thing.
There's so much different confusion and convoluted thoughts going on across the teacher space, and then we think about it from the student angle too. There's so many different confusions, and it seems like there is no real progress being made due to all of the different conflicting factors. And we really need to dig into some of those.
Serious thing. And you know what I found disturbing? I hear, I speak to people who teach in different demographics.
Yeah.
So it's not just like a race thing, an economic thing. It seems across the board consistently, minus some private schools, where it's like this thing is just out of hand. You know, whether it's your suburbs, whether it's your inner city, whether it's younger kids, older kids. I'm not sure, man. It's just like, I know people blame the school system. First of all, you can't just blame one thing, right? But I think majority of the blame needs to go towards parenting, fire. I think the lack of parenting is being exposed in the confusion in the school system. Because what I notice is that it seems like the school system is trying to modify themselves to deal with modern parents.
You get explain up that.
All right, so please. You know when you went to school, right? If something so basic, if you went to school, the teacher made a complaint, like your parent listened to the teacher, then you got chastised. There wasn't an interaction with you too much in regards to what's going on or defending of you. It had to be like some real crazy behavior for your parent to defend you, right? So even in that little interaction now, it's like the teacher is an authority figure with no authority. Like the teacher has lost their position in society. It's no longer this glorious position. It's like you're almost like a piñata for administration and parents.
Yeah.
Because due to the lack of accountability with the parents now, or parenting with the children, the child is not learned to have any form of honor to an authority figure or an adult.
Yeah. Entertaining wrong behaviors, and that's what the parents are doing now. So it's like a loser behavior now. So you see the child start feel like them get away without consequences. Facts. To any form of thing I do, because if I do this and the teacher reacts this particular way, then my mother or my father will always be defending me, so I can do it as much as I want. And that now start lead the youth them to have a loser mentality, like straightforward.
You know? Yeah, and it's just like all aspects of the thing has been corrupted. Obviously, you have the testing. You know, you have what's the term me and my Bridget talk about? Privileged mediocrity.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, you have many people in administration positions who are there just because they're in a privileged position. They don't necessarily know what they're doing. And because they don't know what they're doing, they're implementing all these things that actually are against the thing that they're trying to help. If they're trying to help. I don't want to get all conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
But the things they implement are both detrimental to the teacher and the student. And that's what seems to be running the place. And also, too, man, you have a big thing where you already have this teacher shortage, regardless of how they want to lie to you. Ain't no teachers out there, right?
Yeah.
And they can't find teachers. But you have administrative shortages. So you have people who have no qualifications at all who are now in positions of administration because they just have to put them in there for whatever reason. We know how that go already. From a leader don't know what he's doing, it's going to flop the thing. You know? And you have, because the school I went to, or all the schools I attended from, elementary to high school, everyone was there for decades. You get what I'm saying? Like teachers were there for decades.
Mm-hmm.
Administration, some were there for decades, but now it's just this rollover. Like every school, every year it's a new principal or numerous new principals throughout the year and definitely new teachers. So this thing that's supposed to be this pivotal part of a community, how can it play that part without the consistency of the people? How can you build a culture with revolving doors?
Yeah, I really feel like the concern is more so politics really take a toll on the whole administrative part of the thing too, because everybody thinking about their political climb, because if you realize like this administrative thing is not a joke thing, you know. A lot of politicians start their career in these fields too.
True.
Fields of like being this vice president on this particular board when it comes to education and all of these things, because these are factors that they use to help them get them vote. So it's a whole political conflict that's taking place currently. And the last, there's some form of loss in transition when we think about the concept of what's the purpose of a school, what role should the school be playing into the development of a child's life, child or adolescent or adult life. Most people don't really understand what's the purpose of school besides just fulfilling this societal concept that we should be going to school, we should finish this grade. At the end of this particular semester, we'll have this test. We're gonna pass this test. But beyond that, the average person don't really understand the role of the role that school plays in their life, and that's all due to the whole heap of political chaos and the political environment and climate that's taking place. Because if I think about it too, you know, a lot of these teachers over there on one side fighting this battle with their unions or whatever they're fighting too, in order to get pay. All of these things take a toll, and these people are human too. So whether it be from a good place or a bad place, it will come and affect whatever is done in the classroom. And oftentimes, if it's not done properly in the classroom, who is going to be affected? The children that are there within that classroom is going to be affected. So enough time we're not really we're not really thinking about the bigger picture, because there are so many different micro pictures that we need to be focusing on. Then it'll make you lose the essence of what education is and why are these institutions here. Is it that we're just upholding a status quo and then just going through as normal?
I think that, man, in these modern times, schools are just holding hubs for parents to work during the day. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is, because there's not much learning going there. And if we speak about my brethren, I don't say my brethren, but the elder, Dr. Amos Wilson's, speaks about the purpose of education and solving a problem. Not solving no problem sitting in that building.
Creating more.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're creating more problems. So like, one has to be truthful and argue to say it's just a hub to hold the children. They do all this dancing around the thing, but they have to have the children. You can't have the children out in society. The children need a place to be contained while the parent is working. And I think that's where we're at in this society, right? Mm-hmm. And because that is the main goal, we can no longer look at school in the traditional form of school. Initially, school was mass schooling, from what I understand, was created to provide workers for the industries that were growing at the time. Mm-hmm. So you didn't need but so much form of information. I don't think the purpose of school is, I don't think the mass schooling, the purpose is to provide anything to anyone but outside of housing. And maybe some people, depending on the demographic, some clientele for the prisons. Mm-hmm. You know, because like, what skills are you learning in school? In many schools, regardless of, it could be a suburban school or any city school, what learning is taking place? Yeah. Because you got to factor in fire, right? The amount of days teachers miss. Because the job is it's a very stressful job. I think people too, I can speak because I was in education, like, people don't understand how stressful that job is, right? And I'm like, it's an inhumane job if you're doing it properly. Teaching is an inhumane job. The amount of energy that you have to put out to have a successful classroom consistently is inhumane, it's not sustainable. And for whatever reason, some people kill themselves doing it, salute to them. You get what I'm saying? But it's not a healthy practice, right? Couple that now with, you have a generation who are addicted to entertainment. I think it's very hard for a child to shift his brain to watching 1,000 3-second clips to sit there and listen to you talk about a particular topic. How can we realistically ask that child to stay focused during that thing? The child can't even be entertained by entertainment. How's the child going to stay focused with you speaking about something that he could care less about? You pretty far right, so it's just like this what they call it, the perfect storm. Yep. You know, then it's like we got to figure in now the chat GDP. What's it called?
Yeah, right.
That's the proper term? Mm-hmm. All right. So, you know, people was cheating already, right? But cheating has been taken, even the cheating, I believe, right? there was some learning going on in previous cheating, because at least you had to like either copy it directly from the text, or I guess people were copying and pasting the text and putting it in a thing. But even within that, you got to do some form of skimming fire. You know what I'm saying? You got to.
I have extra creative.
All right.
Yeah.
But with this now, from what I understand, I've never used the device, but from what I'm hearing, I guess they just customize it to what you need and present it. A lot of teachers are overworked and could care less, so they just pass you. And I hope I'm not going on a rant, but I'm breaking out a lot of stuff in the sense that like a lot of these kids have a distorted view of their academic ability. Because one, between the cheating and teachers just not caring and passing them, they really think that like there's some genius or something when they're borderline. I can't use that word on air, but they're deficient in many of the things that they need to be functional in society.
And you know that is the key to, because putting the focus there, we need to break it down to, right? Putting the focus back on the teacher, right? Just for this second. A lot of these teachers that I see, they don't look like capable human beings, like in like somebody who is necessarily capable to even handle 40 children in a classroom with different personalities who have dealt with trauma at some different point in their life and are addicted to entertainment. And you mentioned that they can't even be entertained by entertainment, much less you. So with a lot of these teachers, I don't see them as being capable to be so flexible for actually deal with all of that. Plus,
they're not fire, right?
So if with them not being capable in the first place, and then you mention the concept of them not caring. So that's one of the main
and not
things.
All, let's say not all teachers. So
just generally.
We got
generally
put that
speaking,
out there.
because if we think about
statistics,
statistically, majority, that's what's taking place in a majority of schools right now. Where the classrooms are overpopulated. Yeah. With overpopulated classrooms, so many different personalities, these people coming from broken homes, how can a teacher actually deal with all of these different things? Plus, there are students there who might be coming from homes that are stable and have to deal with the extreme within that one scenario. So how can you hone that particular craft? And then, example, if you're not capable from the get-go, much less to be dealing with all of that. A lot of students are going to be falling through the cracks. And then the next part of the thing is that school used to represent, or from my perspective, should represent the concept of community. And I feel like the whole aspect of community is just popped down, broken right now when it comes to the concept of school, because there's no unified vision being carried out amongst the student population, and that's the next problem, where if schools are not helping youths to see the concept of community and build something together and honing their craft in different area of expertise, how can this be effective at all?
All right, Farah, you brought up some great points, right? And you're a smart person, so I'm gonna ask you the question: how can you create a culture or a vision when the leader is constantly revolving? When you get a new leader every 6 months with a new curriculum.
Yeah, too much. The lack of consistency and too much.
You get what I'm saying? Like the entire way you're supposed to do stuff changes every year with the new principal.
Yeah.
How is that? How does that work?
It's not sustainable.
How do you as a leader who actually stays there create a culture with your team when they keep leaving?
Yeah.
You can go to school right now. You'll be a veteran. If you stay there for a year and a half, you'll be like an old head in the building.
Mm-hmm.
At your average school.
Turnover rate high.
Yeah, crazy. Especially at like, you know what I'm saying, a more active school, you want to say inner city school, whatever. If people not staying there, it's not funny. People don't be staying in there, yo. Because any sensible person is like, bro, what am I staying here for? Like once they crack the code, especially if they're having a hard time. Now you may have some people that kind of hold it down and do their thing, you know, but those who can, is just like, why would I stay here?
So my question to you then is, which one plays plays a greater role in that turnover rate when it comes to school? Is it economics, or is it the concept of structural imbalance? Which one plays a greater role?
Break it down, what you mean by each one.
So economics, in the sense where there might be financial opportunities that are presented to teachers, knowing that it's not probably that particular teaching job is not giving them enough that they need to sustain themselves and family.
Yeah.
Or if we're thinking about structural imbalance, which I mentioned, the turnover rate of the different people within the school itself, the principals or whatever, the way that the Board of Education set all of the curriculum, all of these different things where it's all meant to confuse you and there's nothing straightforward when it comes to the institution?
Excellent question. Now, in regards to the monetary aspect, I think it's based on region. Where I was at, people were making, I guess, a livable wage. I don't know how you live, but statistically, it's a livable wage, right? Yeah. I don't know how you spent the money though, and I don't know their family situation, but it's the structure, it's the administration, it's the system, because a lot of people who teach actually love teaching. They generally love teaching. A vibe if you love teaching. Like you love music, like teaching could be that type of energy if you love teaching. Yeah. So it's not necessarily the money, it's the system, and it's so corrupt and rotten. I feel majority of teachers, when they go into it, they do have a vibe, but it's suck it out of them ASAP. When I say ASAP, I mean ASAP, fire within weeks. Gone. You get what I'm saying? So I really think it's the system, and I think it's designed for that, because one of the issues we have is that the reality is in our society, where will people work? Yeah. So what's the point of building up people to do what? I think we spoke about this in the previous one about education. Like, I think it's much better to maintain uneducated, angry population than an educated, angry population.
Mm-hmm. But do you really feel like the majority of people who actually go into the career of teaching really love teaching? I doubt that.
All right. I know for a lot of people, it's a default job. Yeah. Like they're on hard times and they figure the teaching. So let me reframe this. Those who at least stayed a year or 2 years, right, actually love teaching, right? Everybody else, you do get pushed out real quick, because if you don't love it, it's not going to work. But yes, it does attract a lot of, I don't know if it's Umar or Judge Joe Brown spoke about how it just attracts this type of person. Like they just feel that like teaching is this easy thing, and it's not at all. But I feel a great question. I feel for those who actually stay for a duration of time, they truly love teaching. It's an art, it's a craft, and it's a vibe. But some people some people in some terrible situations when it comes to teaching. There's some situations where they get no support from admin. They're in situations where I guess you would say their boss. There's a constant rotation. Everybody has a different vision. Everybody has a different way of doing things. And it's just like, I'm still trying to learn this other person's vision or work with this program. And somebody else is coming now to save the world. Then they leave and somebody else is trying to come save the world. And I think what's really turning people off now is the curriculum. They changed the curriculum so much. Now, some people are in positions where they can teach. You have to teach within it, but you can do your own thing. But some people, they're literally changing the way that you teach every year. And it's like, blah, you have to learn new stuff. Or if you're teaching the same book for like the last 10 years, even if you update the lessons, you know the book already. Yeah. Compared to you got to read a new book now for every class again. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? Like that become a little issue now. So, I would really say that the admin and
I feel like, one thing I realize, like a teacher is a theorist, right?
Yeah.
Because, most people who actually teach things, they never really go on to do practical things that they've taught.
That's another big problem. Big problem.
And generally speaking, I don't think it's a problem, because I feel like there's always a person who is meant to give you the knowledge so you can become that practitioner.
Can I jump in real quick before we move on? I think it's a problem at a higher level, because their obsession with theory and their inexperience with the practical hurts how they present the theory. It's too off to the theory. As you get higher up, I'm not talking about elementary or high school. I'm talking about when you get into specific things. I think you need that practical to really teach it on the heights and give it a balanced understanding, because sometimes the theory is outdated.
So maybe that is the problem with teaching then.
It's outdated, bro. It's just over.
If you take the system, if you take the systematic pressure, which I know is the biggest burden placed on teaching, still like all of those different political games, mind games playing. But if you take all of that outside, maybe the concept of being too much within the weeds of theory is one of the major things where that person don't know how to apply anything to show it, to set that real example for students, as well as can get the opposite approach, whereas naturally that person's job is to be that theorist And then with them being that theorists, hopefully they will help to produce practical beings. Or is there such a thing where a theorist, a full-blown theorist can actually produce practical beings who are good at being that practical?
I don't know if I am. I don't know, like, it sounds a way when I say this, but like, I know people may disagree, but the best coaches I had were dudes that used to hoop.
Okay. So it means more to you as a student when a teacher actually can relate to a particular topic that they're teaching.
And I want to be clear too, they may not have the experience, but they're able to relate it to you. And I think that's very important in this generation, especially due to their overstimulated minds.
How does a teacher relate something that they have?
I'll give you an example. Right? So say with a particular lesson, like say with a history lesson, regardless of the conflict, I will find a modern conflict. Like literally a modern conflict, like something in hip hop or something in pop culture, and start with that. The concept of the conflict and the structure of the conflict. Then I can segue into the historical part. So at least they understand the concept, and now we could deal with the other factors that happen historically.
So teaching 101, be relatable.
Yeah, seriously. You get what I'm saying? So you have to like, that's like the craft, that's the skill of teaching. You have to reel them in. You get what I'm saying? So like that was my thing. You get what I'm saying? Like I made all the lessons relatable. For instance, for colonialism, we watch Avatar. In pieces. So we'll watch a section and we'll have the reading with it in regards to colonialism, and I'll line it all up. And anyone want to pirate it, feel free. In Avatar, they use the same wording that they do in historical texts to identify the Na'vi. I think they're called a Na'vi or something. The group they were taking their stuff from. Very demeaning when they spoke about them, criticizing their religion, their way of life, the way they look, calling them primitive and backwards. Same wording that was used when they dealt with indigenous people. Same concept, extracting their land, not understanding their relationship to the land, not understanding the value in the land. Because you got to remember, you may have a class where majority of kids can't read. So I'm wasting my time if they're all sitting there reading. Yes, I do encourage them to read, but at the same time, I want them to understand the concept. And even showing them the film is challenging, right? Because some people can't process the film. So you have this diverse group of kids in front of you with different learning skills and different, whatever, I don't call, not shortcomings, but different, what's the term you would say? I don't know, deficiencies or whatever. So I just try to bring all different aspects to help them understand the concept. I would be egotistic just to say they're going to read and get it. And that's the case. You got kids in there that can't read.
And that bring another point towards my mind, right? Like a lot of these youths seem to seemingly get frustrated easily. And I think not understanding or not being able to read is part of their frustration. But then a question comes to my mind and someone ask you outside of that now is if we take the knowledge level where a child is at or a student is at, take a knowledge level, this child can comprehend this real quick, and this child take a longer time to comprehend this lesson. What is the model student that a teacher actually looks for? A teacher actually looks for most of the time from your perspective, like regardless of where that a child is or where a student is at. Not model child, a model student.
All right. This is the thing. All right. You got to remember this before you even ask the question. So if you're teaching ninth graders, you're going to have a good portion of kids that's on fourth grade reading level, fourth, fifth, sixth grade reading level, right? Regardless of where they're at. The only difference I've noticed is that depending on where your zip code is, your parents may have access to resources. Parents may be in denial about it. They may accept it and get you some tutoring, right? Yeah, from 9 to fourth grade in there, right? The problem teachers run into is that they want you to teach the fourth grader at a ninth grade level because he's in your class. Because all the testing is based on ninth grade. They call it grade level. All the testing and all the benchmarks and everything is at ninth grade level. How can a child who's on fourth grade reading level read on a ninth grade level? They're just going to tell you to continue to get the child to ninth grade reading level, and he's going to miraculously come up. I said that to say that you said your model student is someone that tries. But you can't really get the most out of that kid because you can't give the child a fourth grade reading level. That's the level that the child is on. And that's what helped them start at fourth grade, bring them up. I don't know if it's lack of resources. I don't know if it's lack of time, but all the testing is at ninth grade level. And I think that's why a lot of teachers end up cheating because I remember, it's great. I remember like people was getting these scores. Remember, I'm dealing with history, right? Then I was dealing with the financial literacy, which is reading. So regardless of the class, is reading. So if you're on that 4th grade reading level in history, how all of a sudden you efficient in English? How you get a 90 in English when you can't read? You're going to hustling now. Now you as a person actually trying to hold people accountable and do a structure. Now you look away now because he's not doing good in my. All right, he's not doing good in my class because I hold the order. You get what I'm saying? You can't do the work. I can't grade you for something that you can't do. But the next teacher now want to get through and don't want to deal with the pushback and just pass them. So that's why it's harder to be like an actual good teacher and hold it because you're almost ostracized for holding kids accountable.
We solve a dysfunctional educational system if we can't address the elephant in the room. And I think, see, the problems keep piling up because we can't address the elephant in the room, yet still we are meant to solve this problem. But if we cannot go towards the root cause, then how can we dismantle this dysfunctional educational system and build something that is really sustainable? Hold on for 1 second. One thing I really want to add to this thing is that if you mention, say, like youths pass a certain grade level and they can't read, these children are the ones who turn out to become adults who end up get jobs and have to fulfill and are asked to do particular tasks within this job. That's and they get frustrated easily.
That's why it be so much confusion.
And that's the reason for the confusion.
Yeah, but I think I told you before, I tell people, they messed up my order. I'm like, yo, man, you don't understand. This person has never learned to process information.
Mm-hmm.
You may be telling them you want black beans and guacamole, and they hear something totally different because they've just been passed year after year. They've just been passed. They never learned just listening skills and comprehending information and processing it through their brain. Being on time. People go, they come to work time. They are able to come to their class late every day without being in trouble. So of course they're gonna come to work. Like, when did they learn these skills?
We're focused on the wrong skills. So it's more like being obedient towards a structure that doesn't work.
To keep
they're
just
good
calm.
They're good at that. Okay, I can show up to work, and that's once I show up to work, I'm actually doing the right. It's just like a relationship for the most part. Like, not for sound weird, but if somebody's in a relationship and they don't cheat or whatever, then it seems as okay, it's successful. But is that the only criteria of being successful? And that is the same thing kind of carried over in the educational. Because may I listen to the I say especially and I incorporate the first-hand experience being in a school system and while also being a person who's been to school for 20 odd years.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of seeing that disconnect, and it seems like that disconnect is getting wider and wider and wider and wider. And everybody think it's something that is working because they are a part of it and they don't want to see themselves as any failure. Because normally school, the concept of school or the construct of school is supposed to be synonymous with success, be synonymous with taking yourself from one level to the next, but nobody wants to highlight the fact that it's that dysfunctional system that isn't working how it's supposed to work, or it's working how it's supposed to work actually. Yeah.